Well, if there's any chance of making the other one this afternoon, that would be good, because what I'm going to say to the centre is anybody that comes in this afternoon, that's from our social.
Hello and welcome to Refugees Are Welcome Here protest.
You just do it online, you just do it.
Please smash the like and share it out everywhere you can.
Just make it clear it's from Manchester.
Checking that the live stream is going out to both Facebook and YouTube.
Yeah, but just where it says branch or whatever, or in the notes, just say from Manchester. And I'm going to ask the centre how much money came in from Manchester on Sunday, and we're going to count all the maps on the social. Yeah. So that would be great. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Hello. Hi.
Hello, can people hear me?
No, but if you're not well, you're not well.
Okay, so I'm going to...
Are you coming?
Okay, that's working now. So, yeah, if people want to come closer, I know more people are going to join, but I think it's worth as beginning just because it's so cold and wet. But, yes, so, to introduce myself, my name's Naila Ashcroft. I am part of Greater Manchester Stand Up to Racism, and we have called this vigil jointly between ourselves and Care for Calais, because obviously you've all heard the news stories and the news coverage around the death of almost 30 people in the Channel. These are refugees or migrants. These were desperate people who've got on a dinghy trying to flee and find safety. And it is worth saying, this is all over the press.
Thanks.
And I mean, it's so serious apparently that the government have called a COBRA meeting and had various meetings about it. But what I want to say is this is one of many of these situations. This is not a one-off. People have been losing their lives in the Mediterranean and in the Channel for years now. And whereas the government would like us to blame the people traffickers, and they talk about the business model around the business of people traffickers, it is really important to say that this is not just about people traffickers. The problem is that these people are desperate, and our government and the European Union have blocked any safe routes into Britain and into Europe. This is what this is about. This is not, let's be very clear, this is not about, and no matter what you think about people traffickers, they're horrific, they're making money on the back of people that are desperate. They are not to blame. The other thing I want to say also is, these people traffickers did not create a situation where refugees have to flee for their lives. Let's be very clear about it. The majority of people that are fleeing and are desperate and looking for safety are from places like Yemen, places like Afghanistan, places like Iraq, Syria. These are places where either our government has directly been involved in bombing, destroying, or they have been supporting allies or supporting dictators over there. So in a way, we have to hold our government accountable for what's going on and be very, very clear. It is not good enough to talk about people traffickers. As a stand-up to race, I think I'm safe to speak for both the organisations. For us, the answer is that they should be allowed safe passage. That is a way to stop people dying. That is a way to stop creating desperate refugees. But more importantly, look at what we can do and stop, creating the causes of refugees. Stop bombing places, stop supporting dictators, stop, devastation that's taking place. And I do want to say this, we've just come out of a couple of weeks ago, COP26, and many of us are disappointed what the result of that event. And one thing we do know, and it's very important to remember, that we have seen the biggest displacement of people since the Second World War. That is shocking in itself. However, that situation is going to get worse. If the government continues with their policies, if the world continues to turn a blind eye, and when I say the world, let's be very clear, we're talking about the West here, turn a blind eye to the impact of climate devastation, we are going to see more refugees. And it's absolutely paramount that we stand up and say, actually, say it loud, say it clear, refugees are welcome here. Say it loud, say it clear. clear.
Refugees are welcome here.
Say it loud, say it clear.
Refugees are welcome here.
Say it loud, say it clear.
Refugees are welcome here.
I do want to talk about the fact that when many of the people that want to come to Britain have made it as far as Calais, and it is really important to say that when they get to Calais there is no support, there is no refugee camps, there is no support whatsoever from the authorities. And I think that is absolutely shocking. You know, we have had refugees sleeping rough. They were originally in the jungle, but that no longer exists. They're sleeping rough in Calais, an hour away from Paris, an hour away from London, two of the major capital cities in the world, some of the richest capitals and countries in the world, and this is how we treat people. And I'm really proud today to call this alongside Care for Calais. Care for Calais is a charity that we have worked very, very closely with over a number of years to support those on the ground in Calais, people that are desperate. But actually, the work that Care for Calais have done has reached far beyond just Calais to other parts of France. But also, it's worth saying, actually here in Britain as well, they are absolutely at the forefront of supporting refugees that have made it to Britain in many different ways. So I've done it. In fact, I'm ready to say a few words from Care for Calais.
Hello. Thank you. I'm not very good at all the public speaking type things, so I'll keep it quite short. We've been working with refugees in Calais since 2016. Following the Syrian crisis, hundreds of thousands showed up at the border and they were seeking safety somewhere where they wanted to come. The government here, the government in France, no one was supporting them. They burnt down. Hello? They burnt down the jungle there. We're still on the ground there. We're in Belgium.
As of last year, we've been in Manchester. Anyway, we've just in the last month alone, we've managed to distribute about 500 jumpers to refugees in Manchester, 600 pairs of trousers, 80 pairs of shoes and socks, and we're not stopping. Just because there's no safe passage, it's not going to stop people getting here. It's nice to see, people talking about climate change. We know that climate change is going to cause hundreds of thousands, if not up to 1 million refugees in the next 20 years. It's not going to stop, and we're here and we're ready to help alongside all of our partners, alongside Stand Up to Racism, Amnesty International. There's so many other organisations in this city doing fantastic work. We're here and we called this today because we want there to be systematic change. We're all cold right now, right? Imagine sleeping in it. Imagine how cold the channel is when you fall into it, because that dinghy can't support the number of people that are on it. We need to call for change, we need to do something, and we need to carry on the great work that we're all doing. So thank you very much.
Okay, what I'm going to do is open it out for other people that want to speak. I know there are various people here that represent organisations and people that are helping in many different ways. We have some people, I do know, and I'm going to invite Judy. These a couple of minutes.
Hi, I'm Judy Pascal. I'm from the Campaign Against Climate Change in Manchester and part of the COP26 coalition that organised the demo here about 3 weeks ago. And I think it's great that we're here even in this inclement weather. And I just wanted to underline really what Niall has already said, which is clearly the issues of asylum seekers, refugees seeking to reach this country, and the issue of climate change, which is already a really bad situation and is going to get increasingly and rapidly worse over the next few years. Those situations are linked. Even if you look back as far as, for example, Syria and the war there, one of the many factors which made it worse was that I think there'd been a drought there for some years. And this is one of the factors in many, many cases where people are forced to leave their home. It might be because of conflict, but then the conflicts themselves are often sparked by increasing scarcity of land and drought, which drives people closer together or forces them to move. And so that's going to be one of the factors which will get worse and worse. And if we remember all of that time that the people who are forced to flee are from countries which have very often been colonised and had wars fought over them by the richer northern and western countries which have caused the climate crisis in the first place. And so it's the fault of countries like Britain that people have been forced to flee. And not to give them a decent welcome is adding huge insult to the injuries that have already been done over the decades. So I'd just like to say that and hope that, as well as supporting protests like this, that we'll try and link up with future climate protests and recognise just how closely those are linked together. Thank you.
Apologies. So my next speaker, another volunteer with Care for Calais, will be doing
we'll be coming.
Hi.
We'll be coming to the weekly one again soon. I try and do it every couple of months or so, so we'll go down to the weekly one.
Tuesday will be so obviously this is quite an issue.
It's hard to know what to say. You don't know whether to apologise, and if the right thing is to apologise for these people, I'd like to say I'm sorry. I'm sorry for the preventable death that could have been avoided. I'm sorry that they weren't prevented. I'm sorry that no one in our government was capable enough of preventing these deaths. And all they do is blame criminal gangs as the main cause when they refuse to accept that they are causing the problem themselves. The thing is, my own uncle could have been one of these people. He came to this country in a very similar way. And by that logic, I could have been one of these people that came in on the dinghies and risked my life. But the reality is, anyone here could have been one of these people. There is nothing determining why we live in this country, why we're so blessed to have a life here. And it's a hard pill to swallow. It's such a blessing that we are in the place that the people are risking their lives to come to. They are saying, you know what, if it takes a year, if it takes 10, I will keep trying. They will keep boarding the dinghies designed for 10 people with 30 other people cramped on it. They will keep doing it until they get the goal of coming to this country. So I think it is a crime if us here do not use our position as the lucky people that we are, and we don't do what is right, and that is raise awareness and hold the government accountable. And I would like to conclude with, fuck Boris, refugees are welcome. Thank you very much.
Hello? Yeah. Hello everybody. My name's Retta Moran and I'm here. I want to read out a poem. And it's a poem that is written on Friday by a woman called Lorraine Empanella. She is a leader in an organisation in Coventry called CARAG, which is Coventry Asylum and Refugee Action Group. And they, in turn, are part of the Status Now network, been distributing the leaflet here. So I do hope you'll have a good read and work out if you've got a group or organisation that can join that network, because solidarity is what is going to win. So her poem is called Who Has Created People Smugglers? Mr. PM. Sad we are here again for vigils. Waking up to the news of suicide is horrific. Waking up to the news of 27 deaths is even more shocking. I hear some people say in Calais they are in a safe country. When did Calais, formerly the jungle, become a country? Nobody would choose to drown. Nobody would choose a brief life. Should we really be blaming? I ask you, Priti Patel, looking into the eyes of dead victims and telling them they are wrong. This is not the time to blame the so-called people smugglers? Boris Johnson, have you asked yourself who has created people smugglers? It is not the tyranny of war in poor places that cannot even afford guns or bullets. Yet your big corporations steal rare earth minerals and send guns and ammunition in exchange. Because there is no drowning in boardrooms and skyscraper offices. Children drowning in seas are victims of billion-pound profits and corrupt politicians who step on dead bodies to collect their hefty paychecks while widows weep. This is the time to bring safe route for all refugees and end your policies. I sometimes say this, I will quote myself here. I want to sit with my grandchildren, and when they ask what were immigration controls, I will answer they were a racist tool used to divide us. And then they will ask, what's a racist? So that was Lorraine and Penella's poem, and it's really a plea here for us in Greater Manchester. We're a great place. We are a deeply anti-racist place. We have to find ways to come together now so that we can push this back forever. And it's noticeable today, we're really a very largely a white gathering today. Certainly from Rappar, we said to our people, don't come out today. Don't come out through the freezing cold from Bury or Bolton to stand here. Because the people in whose name it's being done, which is the British citizens, we are the ones that have got to act. So please, thanks for listening to her poem. Please read the documentation. Please be involved. I know there's a meeting tomorrow night. People will no doubt announce about that, about an anti-racist alternative, developing it for Greater Manchester. We are the solution. Thanks very much.
Thanks so much, Greta. Is there anyone else that would like to come and say a few words? I know some of you may not have prepared anything, but if anybody feels like they'd like to say why they've come out today.
Hi everyone, I've not really prepared anything, but I'll just go with the flow. So, we heard of people drowning in the English Channel, but people have been drowning for a while, not only in the English Channel but in the Med Sea. So Frontex, which is a European, what they call themselves as a Coast Guard agency, they say they protect European borders. But the equipment that Frontex uses are military drones, but surveillance equipment, and these drones that Frontex uses, does it keep cutting off? Alright, so the drone that Frontex uses is called the Hermes 900. The Hermes 900 is made by an arms company called Alpit Systems. So it's called Alpit Systems. Alpit Systems has 4 factories in the United Kingdom, and all 4 factories have been targeted by protesters. Some damage occurred, but no one's ever been charged with criminal damage at any of the 4 factories in the United Kingdom. Frontex drones were being used. Priti Patel went to Greece and she wanted to see how these drones were used. So the British Air Force or the Army or whoever decided to purchase the Hermes 900 drone. But they're not called the Hermes drone in the United Kingdom. The same drone is called the Watchkeeper drone, which here is called the Watchkeeper drone 900. and it's flown by the Royal Air Force out of Wales. These drones are being flown over British skies. They have surveillance equipment, and the FIA said they're unsafe to fly over civilian airspace. The UK government has spent over £6 billion on a failed flight programme. This flight programme, these drones are not allowed to fly over civilian airspace. So what do? They fly them over the English Channel, because there's not many houses there. So when these drones are flown, they alert the border agency, and they illegally push them back. So the reason I'm telling you all of this is these drones are pushing back refugees, but this company, you can get on the tram and you can get to Elbit systems within half an hour. So we hear about the Mediterranean Sea, we hear about the English Channel, but all of this is happening a lot closer to home. We don't even have to look very far, you have to look at Greater Manchester. In Oldham, Elbit Systems has been there for over 12 years. Imagine that, you've seen people drown off, and you think to yourself, what can I do? There's two things that you can do, is first of all, get yourself to Oldham on a Tuesday at 3:30. We've been protesting 29 Tuesdays in a row. Get yourself to Oldham, because it's not only an anti-arms trade, they're also anti-refugee, this company, and we need to get them out of Oldham. Let's get Elbit Systems out of the United Kingdom. Priti Patel has failed to do anything. The Dubs Amendment, which said that unaccompanied children in Calais could get safe passage. The Dubs Amendment is no more. There's no safe passage for Afghans, no more. There's no safe passage or safe routes anywhere. The UK has closed all safe passage. So one, ask for safe passage. Two, look at who makes a profit of them people drowning, and it's arms companies. And thirdly, there are refugees here in Greater Manchester, and there's so much you can do. I was looking on Facebook, someone told me there's a whole pile of clothes in Smithfield that needs sorting out. So I'm sure there's a group here that might know something about it. Just chase them up about it. It's called Care for Calais. Not heard of them, but they're really good. So if you can help with Care for Calais, that'd be really good. And also get yourself to Oldham, because people have smashed that factory up, and in a court of law, everyone's been found not guilty. So get yourself to Oldham and do a bit more.
Hi, hello everyone. My name is Maria Tusise. I'm a member of WASP, Women Asylum Seekers Together, and we are here today to stand in solidarity with the people that died at the, crossing the rivers, trying to come to Europe. I just want to say that the reason people run away from their countries, run away from their lifestyle, run away from their families, all disappeared, run away from their dignity is because there is no peace where they are. There are wars. People are running away to have peace. That's why people come here. So we come here for our dignity. We are not here for your income tax. We are not here for your housing. We are not here for your money. We are only here for our dignity and safety. If you threaten someone, they will run away. The only thing you know what to do is run away for your life. That's why we come here. If they don't want people to cross those channels, to cross those rivers, to come here, let us have world peace. Only world peace can stop people coming here and seeking asylum. Thank you very much.
Okay. That was so powerful. I'm not sure what more we can say for that. But I do want to leave it open if there's anybody else that would like to say something. But I know you wanted to say something. And then I'm quite going to wrap it up, but I do want to say a couple of things about what we do next. Because it is great that we're out today. But actually, we need to continue the pressure on the government. So, thank you. Can you hear me?
Okay, my name's Vanetta. I'm a member of Stand Up to Racism in Manchester. But I'm also a union rep where I work in Stratford. And I just wanted to bring solidarity from Unison and also to tell you just how important it is if people here are in their trade unions to begin to involve your trade union in the fight against racism. Several years ago, when the Syrian crisis was at its highest, and the pictures the media showed the child Alan Kurdi washed up on the shore, and people across the globe really, particularly in Europe, we really set to and we started actively engaging our trade unions and our communities in fighting against racism and doing something about the brutal racist attacks that are our immigration laws, and they are getting worse. They're getting much worse, as people have said. Now, at that time, we were fighting against a really hostile environment, and 1 in 4 people in this country did something, actively did something to support refugees. So we know that people on the ground, whether we're in Calais, whether we're in Dunkirk, whether we're in Hastings down in the south, people actually care, unlike this government. I don't need to tell you how brutal, how racist this government is. We are the people who actually do care, we understand one another, and we are the people who are going to bring some changes. We can only do that if we actually do it in things like this, but also in our trade unions. When the body of Alan Kurdi was washed up, we put a motion to our trade union to demand, really, it wasn't difficult, we put a motion to say we want to affiliate to Stand Up for Racism because we need to actively do something. That motion passed very quickly and we're part of Stand Up for Racism. I went down to Calais on 2 occasions and Stand Up to Racism. We did a lot of fundraising, but also the most important thing is we've done things politically because we know this is racist immigration policy. We have racism, institutional racism. We know that. Black Lives Matter has absolutely exposed that, as has COVID. So the two things go hand in hand. Whilst we fight for the rights of no borders, really, why should any one person here today or anywhere else be judged as different? The person before me spoke really brilliantly and powerfully about it, and I think that's what we all believe. No borders, everybody should be treated, we should be treated equally. So the fight, using your union to fight for the rights of, and I don't like using the refugees because they are people, okay, but to fight for refugees, but also to fight for against the racism that goes on, our institutional racism, whether that's in the health service, when you're getting disproportionate deaths under COVID, or whether it's in education and you're getting black kids being excluded more, or whether it is in jobs, jobs insecurity. People who are black are more likely to face redundancies and job losses, insecure job opportunities, etc. So I think all of these are absolutely interconnected, but we have to do it. The trade union has a really important part to play. When we, at the moment, we're fighting for a pay increase, the government has offered us a measly 1.75%, which is a kick in the teeth, and we've kicked back and said no. When we fight over our pay and our terms and conditions, and we fight together, that is when you can find unity amongst black and white workers. I'm not going to benefit if I'm not going to benefit if I don't get a pay rise, nor are my colleagues. When we come together and we unite, whether it's over racist borders, whether it's over pay rises, whether it's over police brutality, then we get results. And I think that's what we're doing today. It's a start. On the 19th of March, we have International Anti-Racism Day. That's another way that we can come together on the streets and show the government what we really think. We don't leave it till then, but it is something that we should be doing now. We should be building in our communities and in our workplaces. So I would encourage people to go into their workplaces, go to their trade unions, affiliate to Stand Up to Racism. It's an amazing opportunity to do some campaign work, but also to show our colleagues as well that we actually really do hate racism. Refugees are welcome, and we will do something very real to ensure that we take action. Okay, thanks very much. Thanks. so much for that, Vanessa. And it is really important to say, at Stand Up to Racism, we are a national organisation, and there have been demonstrations and vigils and events taking place across the country. We are part of a movement across the country. It's always important to remember that. And there have been hundreds of people, if not thousands of people, that have actually come out over the weekend. And one of the places that we organise the best, and I guess the strength that we get, is obviously by activism and by people like yourselves, but actually also through the trade union movement. We are an organisation that's heavily supported and you know, by the trade union movement, funded by the trade union movement. And I'd like to invite, and it was fantastic to have Vern speak on behalf of Unison, the work that Unison does. We have a really close relationship with Unison across the Northwest and nationally, but I'd like now to invite someone to speak on behalf of Unite, which is another trade union that, again, has been working to support us, and lots of great work generally.
Right, I'm not quite sure how coordinated this is going to be. I didn't prepare anything. My name's Sandy Broadhurst. I'm involved in all of these organisations around here. Stand Up to Racism, Amnesty International, Black Lives Matter. I'm also involved politically with the Stockport Labour Party, but I'm an officer in Unite's community branch. The unions have an absolutely crucial part to play in this, and I do ask you all to get involved with your unions. Get involved with your political parties as well. Get involved with your community groups, because we've got to put out the message all the time. We've got to challenge racism wherever it happens. It's endemic in our society, and we've got to challenge it. One of the early speakers on said he didn't know how to respond to what was going on, and he felt as if he ought to be saying sorry. I want to be saying sorry too, because the things that are going on in this country are appalling. But as well as being sorry, I am angry. And I don't know whether you're angry as well. I am incensed at what our government is doing. I'm incensed at their racism, their inhumanity, their cruelty. It's an absolute outrage. And we've all got to stand up for it. And you know, the interesting thing is that when we stand up for it, when we talk to individual people, when we tell them about what people are fleeing from, the terrible, terrible situations, people are quite sympathetic and supportive. And we've got to challenge the myths and lies that are being perpetrated. Our government constantly tells us that, oh, we're such a wonderful country, we take so many refugees. It's an absolute lie. If you look at the world levels, Britain takes very, very few, and the comments they're making are based on just blatant racism. So we've got to keep fighting, and we've not only got to be fighting to say refugees are welcome, we've also got to be fighting on climate change, because we know that that's going to bring more refugees here, disrupt their lives, destroy their lives. We've also got to be fighting against the arms trade. You've heard about the campaign in Oldham, a campaign I feel proud because I set it up, I ran it when it first started. It's now been taken over by local groups in Oldham, and that is absolutely brilliant. We've got to fight against the arms trade, because all of these things are feeding the instability around the world that is driving racism and destroying people's lives. Refugees are welcome here, but refugees don't want to lose their homes. They don't want to leave their countries. They want to live where they are in safety. So keep talking on a personal level to your neighbours in your community groups. Join political parties. Get out on the streets and join your trade unions. As I say, Unite Community does a huge amount in this, as other unions do. So keep on fighting. Solidarity to everybody. Refugees are welcome in Britain.
Thanks so much for that, Sandra. And can I just say, I mean, I said that we are here and we call this for ourselves and Care for Calais, but it's also worth saying there are many other organisations represented here.
Amnesty International, I can see, WASP is here, Status Now are here, the trade union movement is here. And the reason I say this, because it's a representation of our strength, that actually when it comes to supporting refugees, many groups will come together, and it's important that we do that, and I think we should celebrate that unity, because actually racism is all about dividing us. This is what this government wants to do. They want us to divide. They want to divide us, and they want us to blame each other for the problems that we are facing here in Britain. But let's be very, very clear about this. No refugee, no migrant took my job. No refugee, no migrant took our home. No refugee or migrant took our, NHS beds. It's all of those issues that we are dealing with are a direct result of this government and their policies. And that's the thing we have learned over this last 2 years of COVID, because actually migrants and refugees are the backbone of our country. And that is why we saw the difficult impact of COVID. They are absolutely, well, that's what they are us. We are their part.
So,
only taking the right kind of migrants that they're really facing, when it's about skilled labour and community. But actually, the COVID crisis has shown us that it's migrants on low pay that are very, very clear about them. They are vital key workers. The only thing that can happen is low pay again. The rest of the government policy. But they have kept this country going. They have been the delivery people. They have been the people stocking the shelves. They're the people running and working in our NHS. It's not the ministers and the bankers or the CEOs of businesses that have kept this country going. It has been working class people, black and white people, who the majority, if you look at the NHS and the impact of the health workers and those that lost their lives on the front line of the NHS, it is black people, it is migrant communities who have kept that NHS going. So we said, say it loud, say it clear. Refugees are welcome here. Say it loud, say it clear.
Refugees are welcome here.
Say it loud, say it clear.
Refugees are welcome here.
Okay, I'm going to wrap up one final word though. As I said, it's absolutely fantastic. So many groups are represented here. We need to continue building on that unity, because we are stronger than this government. People talk about the fact that actually this government has a majority in Parliament, that they are pushing through the Nationality and Borders Bill. But let me say very clearly, we are the majority and we have to be the opposition to this government. So we want everyone to come out and join us on International UN Anti-Racism Day in March next year. But even before that, we need to continue to build a network and be ready to support people who are in desperate need. That is the only crime that these people have committed, that they are desperate and they have the courage, absolute courage to flee for a better life for them and their families and their children, and we absolutely support them. So tomorrow evening at 7 p.m. there will be an online meeting for Stand Up to Racism. It's been called by Stand Up to Racism, but actually many different groups are going to be represented in that meeting. And we want people to come together and discuss what we do and build a network and a movement that can push back the government policies and actually make sure that everybody who is fleeing is able to find safety here and be part of our community. So thank you very much. If you're not already involved in Stand Up to Racism, you're not on our WhatsApp group, or you're not getting our emails, we do have a store that's a little wet, but you can leave your details, you can make sure you're connected up. We can also put you in touch with Careful Calais and the other organisations that are here today. But can I say thank you so much for coming out. I know it's cold, I know it's wet, but you know what, it's important we're here today. We will continue coming out and fighting for justice for refugees and anyone else as well. Thank you very much. Okay, and just quickly, an announcement. If people are here waiting for the Radical Walking Tour, please go directly to the old tapas. I think we're just going to get together for food rather than doing the walk, but there will be an opportunity for people to talk about the different things that we would have discussed on the walk. Thank you very much.
Sorry?
I saw you when you were trying to I kept looking at it.
It's over. Okay, thanks for watching everyone. I'll have another protest about 3 o'clock. I'm going to be, I think it's Fallowfield, and there's a protest against knife crime. And yeah, just a recent stabbing. I forgot the lad's name. He was a young kid though, who's recently died through a knife attack, and so they're going to do a march in his memory and also against knife crime. So make sure you tune in for that at 3 o'clock. Thanks for watching. See you next time.